Forget it.
The FLAMECAST!
Hey everybody, welcome to FLAMECAST. This is Lucky 7. FLAMECAST 7. Windy, how's it going?
Yeah, not too bad, Tobor. How are you?
Pretty okay. I've been consuming E3 like as though my life depended on it this week, which
Okay.
I don't think it really does, but
I don't think anybody's does, but
no, clearly not too with what's on offer. This has been kind of a doozy, and we'll kind of get to some of this. What's going to be kind of interesting about this is you haven't watched a whole lot of it.
very, very, very little. So what we will be discussing will be the first time I've heard about most of it, most likely.
Yeah, I've watched a lot, which means you've gotten a lot of work done, and I've gotten very little done. So, Savage is put off for another week.
That's all right. You got to watch some CEOs talking.
I did, yeah. It's amazing. It's
Yeah.
Real morale injector.
Oh, so good. Right. So, have you? What have you got up to on Savage? Have you done much this week, or has it been E3?
So, for Savage, I've been drawing monsters a lot. Last week especially, I went hog wild with the monsters, which felt really good. Like they've just been tumbling out of my brain.
Yep.
And I haven't been able to stop.
Okay.
Until E3, then everything came to a grinding halt.
Cool. Well, what sort of monsters? What are we talking about? Enemies and stuff.
So the fabled fish man that I was kind of bringing up before, like I've got a lot of his animations and attack patterns, and he's good because I can easily palette swap him and turn him into a different thing. Yeah. Like I've got plans for multiple fishmen. Entire culture's worth of fish people.
Excellent.
Yeah, and I can cannibalize some of his parts and turn them into other things and stuff, which is what I usually do when I wind up with something I really like. But yeah, lots of attack sets and attack patterns and stuff. And like he'll be more dangerous under the water, and when he gets on land, he kind of like flubs around and like clumsily like tries to hit you with his trident or whatever. Okay. So he's been fun to work on. Yeah, and then a couple other. I think anymore with Savage. I have spent so long on a lot of normal-ish enemies. A lot of my normal enemies are more complicated than other people's boss enemies. So I think I've earned the right to have some like dumb stuff in there, where it's just this guy is shaped like a ball, he has legs, and he just charges back and forth or something.
Perfect.
And, you kill him and he explodes, and there's no, just stuff like that I'm starting to put into the game where it's like I want more basic pattern stuff that kind of mixes things up a little bit, and it's like okay, I've got to deal with this guy who I know has a shield and he can attack high, he can attack low, he can dodge some of my attacks, but then have this like very reliable other like pattern based hazardy enemy that you can always count on to like do like a sine wave across the screen or something, or like he'll jump like in very predictable arcs or something, and so that's what I'm more looking at for filling out my my bad guy roster anymore. So it's been a kind of a nice change of pace, and I'm able to produce much faster as a result. So
awesome. It's always cool to do stuff like that. I always enjoy it. I don't take when I make monsters and stuff for my games, they're usually fairly simple, to be perfectly honest. One thing I hate working on is AI and things like that. But it's always fun to draw them, isn't it? Let your imagination go wild.
It's always fun to see the result.
Yeah.
When you see it like on the screen, it's like, oh, it's alive. It's alive. It lives. I did this.
Makes a nice change from rocks as well,
Yeah, I haven't been doing any rocks, and that's been a wonderful thing.
Well, it must be quite far along though, right? You must be
getting there. I'm getting there. I've been eyeballing early access a lot too, as I've been going for it, especially yesterday. And with Steam rolling out its new library feature for for games that people already bought.
Yep.
Now you got to do some extra work to make your library presence look nicer. I have no idea if any of this actually matters for visibility or,
probably not. No,
store page presence stuff.
It makes me laugh, isn't it? It's like, there's all these people screaming saying, "Hey, Steam, is there any chance you can make it the storefront better, make it more visible, give us better this, give us that, give us that?" And what do? They make people's libraries look better. It's like you just get an email saying, "Hi, can you send me lots of different assets and 4K resolution images for all the games that you've got released?"
Yeah.
I think, well, these people have already purchased it at that point. It doesn't actually help a developer in any way, shape, or form. What it does is makes their platform look better. That's all it is. Terrible, really.
Which I will cede is a good thing for everyone.
Oh yeah, it's still good.
Like as long as the value of the whole thing increases even just a little bit.
We'll see.
But still, it feels like busy idiot stuff when it is, especially when the fucking thing doesn't work. I spent hours yesterday wrestling with this thing, trying to and reading the support forums and stuff, and I saw lists of other people like, it's not converting it right, it's turning it into a JPEG when it should be a PNG, and then some of it's not even showing up, and I can't get it to upload as the thing that it's supposed to upload. It was a clusterfuck.
Nightmare.
Eventually I got it to work, but
well, supposedly they've got an automatic alternative, so I'm going to wait and see what that is. If it's acceptable, then we'll go with that. So,
however, if it just shows a pile of poop and a penis on there, that might be worth fixing.
Then I'll try and dig out some 4K resolutions of my 8-year-old video game. I'll see if I can whip something up. It's like,
I'll be right back. I'm going to go do something in Maya. And,
Thanks, Steam. Thanks.
Yeah.
Listening. They're listening, They're listening, and that's what matters.
Yeah.
They're listening.
Hear you.
Yeah, so when people are going through their libraries of endlessly free and ever cheaper video games, they'll look a bit better on the shelf. And that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. But yeah, so I've yet to do that. I haven't really looked at it. I've just been working balls to the wall on GO2, really.
That's good.
And it's crazy. I'm just chiseling away. Like some days I wake up, I'll sit there and I'm working and I'm in the zone, right? And I'm focused, right? And then I'll get to the end of the day and I'll think, yes, that was a great day. I got loads done. And then I sit back and look at it and think, that's one of 150 user interfaces just for one screen. That's not even, and it sort of dawns on you and you go, because GO1 was a big game.
Start breathing into a paper bag.
Yeah, this game is a whole nother league comparison. So, but it's going well. It's going well. Like this morning before we started this, I was working on like a crew management stuff. So there's like 100 crew members in the game.
Yeah,
and then you can unlock them, select them, and then it brings up massive portraits of them, and all the UIs are all hand designed with like cogs and wires, and they all connect together with pipes and stuff. And they all move slightly, and like I designed a UI where you got all these perks, but the perks when you basically when you level up your characters, like these shutters go up, which reveal like what you've just unlocked, and like it's all got to be set up. So I think just the crew UI alone, without the crew members, is about 26 components just in that one interface, and that's one of about 100 interfaces. I've bitten off more than I can chew, quite possibly. Quite possibly. But we're going to keep going at it. It's getting there. It looks good. I'm quite pleased with it.
Yeah, baby steps.
Yeah, I'm just going to keep your head down.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Craft every brick that will go into the castle.
Exactly. That's it. One brick at a time.
It's looking good, though. From what you've posted, your user interface stuff is sharp.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping I get some functionality soon. Hoping. So there's lots of other little things I've been doing. Like there's now...
Oh, that's going to feel so good when you plug it in and start to see it moving and stuff. And you can interact
things are starting to go that way. So you can now... There's a start screen, which is just a white screen that says GO2 on it and some buttons. But that's all linking in...
4K.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. But that's all linked to the save system. So all the save files is working. You can then go launch straight into the headquarters, and then you can start clicking on things. And so you can add rooms to your headquarters now, and all the stats are calculated and added. And so it looks like there's not a lot there, but it's the foundations of, that's starting to go in, which is nice. Because once, like the reason I've done, so you can put buildings and rooms in your headquarters and get the stats, and then you can put your crew members to work in the rooms. So then I needed to do the crew UI, which is what I'm working on now. So when that's done, you'll be able to unlock crew members, you'll be able to put them in rooms, you'll be able to build rooms, and then the loop starts to kick in, you know? Because a lot of the other stuff is fluff, like there's a whole mechanism for buying stuff from a marketplace and all that inside the game. So hire crew and buy new rooms, and you can buy consumables. But like that interface it's not really a fundamental, because it's just something you can tack on. Like the game doesn't rely on it. It doesn't rely on it to work, whereas like the headquarters, the crew members, the rooms, all of that stuff is the core mechanic. Once that's in, it should start to good. Start to look good. Start leveling the fuckers up, get all the new stuff in. It's exciting times. Lots and lots of art. Crazy.
Yeah, user interface. God. That's all I heard.
Yeah. Let me just move that one pixel. Yeah, 1 pixel to the left.
Yeah. Oh God. I still have to do some stuff like that in Savage before I decide to put on my big boy pants and do early access. There's one main thing that I need to do, and that's finish the crafting system.
Okay. Yeah.
It's in there. It just doesn't have any recipes. For you to actually make stuff. Like right now, it just makes meat. No matter what you do, like you can put like 3 things into a pot and then click the cook button. Yeah. The other one is working where so there's 2 in Savage. One is you go to a forge and you can turn pre-existing weapons, shields, and armor into new stuff if you have the right materials to do so. So it's like the longsword is an ingredient to making some new thing.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So that works there, but then there's another one, a separate one that's alchemy and cooking, where you can make some of the higher end materials to then use on the forge, and potions and stuff, and other consumables. I just haven't mapped out what's what yet, because Savage is ripe for grinding. Windy. It's ripe for grinding, and I want a reason for my stupid world map to exist.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it's just places to go and things to kill, which is fine too. Like that's
yeah. But I know what you're talking about.
That's probably what a lot of people already fucking wanted from this stupid game, and I could have just released a long time.
I don't think I think these systems and stuff, especially like there's always discussion about grind and stuff, and I suppose with the modern age, there's a lot of noise about instant gratification and games are being inflated to sell microtransactions. It's bollocks for the most part. A lot of people like to play a game and like to get into the game. So I think
I want to grind without any weird microtransaction-y payment paywall thing. Like that sounds liberating to me.
There's great value in that. I think it's awesome. And that's what I like.
Yeah,
I've always liked. At the moment, I'm playing Hyrule Warriors on the Switch.
I want to play that.
And it's just a mindless grind, and I'm loving every minute of it. Like I play a game, new game comes out.
I love the Warrior games.
Yeah, and then I just go back to it. New game comes out, I play it, go back to Hyrule Warriors. In between everything, it's just Hyrule Warriors. It's so good because I like that sort of thing in a game.
Yeah,
have my thumbs up if you're gonna put the grind in.
Oh, good. I've got the Windy blessing.
As long as the grind is valued, like there's a reason, like you get something out of it. Then great.
Yeah. Well, I want to it's an internal economy thing, right? In your game, it's like, okay, you go to the desert to get this particular material and hope that you run into this particular monster.
Yep.
That drops this thing, and then you take it back with you with all your other stuff that you've gotten the world over, and make the best sword, or that's the idea with this.
Nice. Yeah, that sounds awesome, man. Definitely do it.
Yeah, and I want at least a functioning alchemy. Long story short, I want at least a functioning alchemy system, the nuts and bolts of it in there before I click the early access button. So
okay.
Just speaking of user interface stuff that popped into my brain.
Yeah, well, I've got I don't know. I like user interface stuff. I enjoy it. Like I think it's one of those things. We touched on it last week.
Yeah.
But once it's in, the game starts to become like a real game, you know.
Yeah, feels like adult time.
It does, yeah. So that's pretty much what I've been doing, just endless UI, and I think I'm going to be doing that for weeks and weeks. You know, before I then move on to drawing rocks for weeks and weeks, and planets for weeks and weeks.
Good. I think
it's getting there.
Yeah, I think it's going to be worth it. I think.
I hope so. We'll see. Time will tell. I know there's quite a few people who enjoyed the first, who have hopefully excited the second one's. We'll see in time. Hopefully, when I start putting out some images and videos and stuff, we'll see. Be able to gauge whether people give a damn.
Yeah. Do you think you're gonna present some of this stuff maybe in a more I want to say a more Windy Beard curated fashion, like mini presentations on your YouTube channel or something, for example?
Oh yeah, maybe. Who knows? I'll do stuff. See, I do need to. I want to start a lot earlier than I usually do. This one. This game is literally go big or go home for me. There's I think it's going to be either. Well,
we talked a little bit about this before, and it's like, oh, I'm squirming. We
did, yeah. There's a lot resting on this one. It's gonna be my what's the word I'm looking for? But either way, it's either going to be my game. Yeah, it's going to be the game, or it's not. You know what I mean? It will tell me what I'm doing next. I'm out the back of this one,
man. Yeah. As spooky as that sounds, I do have a good feeling about Geo 2.
No, so do I.
But this is coming from somebody who played the first one recently, right? Me, just Jay.
And hopefully all of you.
Yes, and go buy fucking Geo on Steam. You're going to be surprised. Best surprise of E3, Geo 1.
Yeah, there you go.
Go on and get it. I was surprised, like, you know, in the most pleasant way by it. I was like, there's something here. Like, something really good here.
I think so.
That tugged at my, you know, the kid who played Civilization for the first time, who played World of Warcraft for the first time, like it had that kind of tug on me, and I need to go back to it and
I think
get busy with it again.
I think I agree, and I think if I look at Geo 1 as sort of like the prototype to this one, that's kind of what I'm aiming for. So, because there's a few bits of it that are hit and miss. There's a few things that aren't overly well explained or a little bit confusing, and all of these things I am very aware of now. You know?
Yeah.
There's so many things. So there's things going out, there's new things coming in, but everything is being designed with the knowledge and I suppose the wisdom of making the first one. So I think it's going to be good. I think it's going to take everything that was good about the first one and make it better. That's what I'm aiming for. And then add in some extra good stuff that wasn't in the first but would make the game better. That's the plan. So I just want to, basically, one of the main things is I want to offer up a lot more relevant information at the point of when it's needed or when it would be useful. And I think that's one of the complaints I had about Geo 1 is when you get real deep into it, there's bits of information that require you to keep going between interfaces and different menus to check stuff. Whereas it'd be better for the player if all that information was provided like with forethought, like the player goes, right, do I need this for something else? Or am I going to spend this and regret it because I should have done this? So instead of having to jump between loads of different menus and checking stuff out, it hopefully, get it right, it will give you an overview of, like, it'll just give you more information to make the game play a lot smoother. You know, that's the plan anyway. Sounds a bit weird, I suppose, if you're talking about, but it's a complicated.
Well, keeping in mind that there is a little bit of kind of a lot. Like the meat of the game is resource management, sort of.
Yeah.
You know,
ish.
So, yeah. Like that sound. And to do that, you need something that's a little UI heavy, right?
Yeah, exactly. Very UI heavy. But what I don't want to do is overdo it, because that's another concern. A lot of games do that. They give you too much information that stop you having to do anything at all. Like, I don't want the player to not have to think. Like, that's one of the things I want the player to do, is make decisions and weigh up whether they should bother doing something or not. Like, has value, you know.
Yeah,
that's part of it. I suppose it's a management game, isn't it? It's not a clicker. That's the difference.
No.
Careful.
Yeah, Geo is not a clicker. No.
Need to be careful that I don't stray too close to the whole casual, whilst at the same time making it accessible. Professional speech there. There you go.
Yeah.
But yeah.
You sound like E3.
Tobor and WindyBeard, watching E3 and Keanu Reeves. Turn everyone they're beautiful, drops mic and then he leaves.
Well, there he goes.
No, you don't sound like E3. No.
Professional segue as always.
Yeah.
So professional. Right, go on.
Check.
Chuck it at me. Give me your
E3.
E3.
Yeah, E3 happened. I will present to you, Windy, E3.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to it.
Boom. I don't know. It didn't do that either. That would have been exciting. This was one of the most boring and just soul-sucking industry presentations I've ever.
It's a shame.
I remember some bad E3s, but this was like.
Yeah.
Damn near almost physically hurt me. I don't know. It was pathetically boring. Like, I just...
But it's, like I said to you before, it's sort of that's an overview of the industry in general at the moment, isn't it? Like, the state of AAA anyway. It's just sort of dead in the water, isn't it? It's just treading water. Yeah,
I think... and I've kind of suspected this, and I mean, I don't want to be a doomsayer or anything, and it's obviously not the not quite the crash of '83 in the West.
Yeah,
but I do think it's a dip.
Something's happening, yeah.
And it might be our own version of a crash or whatever. But yeah, when you have
I think it's quite safe to say that's what's coming, because I think at the same time
I kind of think we're wading through something like that.
Yeah,
like, I feel like it's been around for a little while in various forms, but mostly because the industry's so the industry. It's like a bunch of small bits and pieces and moving parts, and some are bigger than others, but and they're all suffering and or growing or crashing, and it's ups and downs all over the place.
It's very volatile, isn't it?
Yeah. So, but I think right now we're hitting a point where it's like a lot of them are going.
Yeah, I think a lot of these big companies are. I can only imagine they're probably shitting themselves from. Because I know they're tripping over themselves with profits if you listen to all these things, but they are hanging in there by a thread. I think some of the big ones, anyway.
Well, when you look at all of the stuff coming out about, just people getting the axe right and left by the hundreds, hundreds and thousands, it's like, well, something's going on, and it's not just like, well, we're just refactoring and we're maximizing profits this way. It's like
they try. I think a lot of them thought that esports was going to rescue them. And I think that was one thing, and that's clearly taken a bit of a dive, isn't it?
Yeah, maybe, and a lot of this is coming from a layman's perspective too, a little bit. This is coming from me speaking as a consumer fan, like consumer / fan / somebody who's also trying to make a game in a part of the industry, right?
Yeah.
So I'm paying attention, but I'm also not an analyst.
Yeah.
So I'm talking out of my ass a lot, but like just the things that you see and the things that you definitely get a sense that consumer confidence is down, and whenever consumer confidence is down, like in any sort of consumable thing like video games, like it's gonna tank, especially when the market leaders are the ones that are pissing everybody off.
Yeah. Well, I don't think there's a CEO who can stand on stage at the moment without upsetting their crowd. Like all you ever hear is like, this company made this mistake, this person made this mistake, they did this mistake.
Yeah.
Like, it's just endless and ceaseless, and it's quite sad. But,
Well, so a lot of E3 sounded like kind of like that. It sounded like E3 the excuse electronics expo. It's like it was. A lot of it sounded like my Kickstarter updates on Savage. Like just an endless like still working on this. Oh, hey, we're working on this too. And,
Yeah. I think, didn't Sony missed it altogether, didn't they? Because of
because
all the things they promised last year.
Yeah, that never happened.
Oh, it's so sad. But the problem is, right, I don't think it's a case of like I've seen quite a few people covering it saying, "Oh, Sony lied. That's why they weren't here." I don't think they lied. I think that they had good intentions, and just the ravenous expectations have just rendered like most of their things almost impossible. And I think this is across all the industry in general, really.
Well, that's software development, right? There's never any lying, and it's always just delays.
Yeah, it's just delays. Yeah,
but it's but a little bit of that can I think rightly so, can be interpreted as mismanagement, right?
Oh yeah.
Any one of these things could potentially be canceled. The things that they quote unquote promised and
probably a lot of them were as well.
Decided to skip out on.
E3.
Who knows if like the Ghost of Tsushima thing or whatever it's called, Ghost of Sushi, is that could be canceled. Who knows? I don't know. But amidst all of the chaos and the turmoil, there are some pretty steady safe bets, I think. Guys like From Software, like you always know what's going to happen with From Software. And they have always been,
Doom people.
What's that?
Is that the Doom guys?
That's the Dark Souls guys.
Oh, what's that? Who are the Doom fellas? What's that?
id Software.
Doom. Oh, that's them, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, they put out Doom Eternal, which kind of just looks like an asset flip of Doom. Well,
it's just more heavy metal running around shooting lots of enemies.
Which is totally fine, I think, because you look at old games too, like it's, Doom 1 and Doom 2 are almost indistinguishable unless you're really, really familiar with the maps and stuff.
Yeah.
So that's not like outside the realm of, that's...
Well, I think if any of these companies, any AAA companies, if they're not making a second game off the first one, using, like, if they build a new engine and a whole revamp for a game, if they're not making a second one using the same materials, then they're making a big mistake,
Well, that's part of the problem with perception too. It's like when people see the same thing again, it's like, why should I bother? I already played the first one. So I think a lot of bigger companies are able to produce brand new shiny shit for the sequel or a follow up or whatever. But then you look at Ubisoft and even Sony too. It's like carbon copies of fucking Uncharted, and everyone looks like a Gap model. Everyone's wearing t-shirts and jeans, and they have a gun.
Yeah, little beanie hat on.
Yeah. Ubisoft, like I was watching the Ubisoft thing, and I was like, so much of that I checked out for that one because so much of it is indistinguishable. It's like a Tom Clancy this, Tom Clancy that, and then Watch Dogs on top of that, and it's
I think Ubisoft.
I had a hard time like separating what exactly they were talking about, and like, and then there's like, oh, here's an add-on for this and an add-on for that. This was like E3, the fucking the add-on experience. It was so weird. It's like, oh, also we're gonna put Terminator characters in our one of our Tom Clancy's. It's like.
I always get this vibe from Ubisoft, right? Like I don't actually have a problem with them. I think they make some pretty solid games, right?
Yeah.
And they get a lot of stick, but I do get this feeling of all the companies on Earth, they're the company that's more like that, sort of like that 50-year-old uncle who thinks he's cool. You know what I mean? Like that's what I get from Ubisoft,
Like, they're kind of on the cusp of cool. They're just past it to where it's kind of silly that they're trying to be cool.
Yeah. It's so obvious. Like it's funny. Like with Watch Dogs.
Hey, fellow kids.
Yeah. I'm Assassin's Creed and I've got an eyebrow piercing this time. And you think, just to make it even more cool. You know what I mean?
Hey guys, you want to go shopping at Hot Topic?
Yeah, it's all a bit cringy. Like
I got the new Slipknot album.
Yeah. Hey kids, what about that Nirvana? Eh?
Yeah. Avril Lavigne's new hit single is really tearing it up, isn't it?
Yeah. But yeah, they make some solid stuff, and their stuff looks really good. I give them that. They do have some amazing art.
Yeah. Well, you want to talk about asset flipping? Like they're.
Oh yeah.
All of their games right now, everything that I saw at E3 was like the same.
Yeah.
It was all like dude with backpack and M16 and a beanie. Like. It was like the whole. And not to say that there wasn't like some interesting shit. Like people were kind of fawning over that new Watch Dogs game.
Yeah.
Where you can, there's within that, it looked like they were kind of playing around with the concept of the How familiar are you with Shadow of Mordor and?
A little bit, yeah. I know what it is, and I know about it. Yeah.
You know what I'm getting at, right? The Nemesis system.
Yeah, I know the Nemesis system. Yeah,
where the world is populated with procedurally generated orcs, where they all have their own personalities, strengths, and weaknesses, and you know, attitudes and whatever, and like physical, you know, randomized physical appearance and stuff. And I think that's kind of that stuff has always fascinated me.
Yes, awesome. Really good idea.
Yeah, and I think they're injecting some of that into the world of Watch Dogs, which I'm not really like into that at all. Like I could pass on Watch Dogs and be perfectly fine. But I liked that it was like, when you run into a person you want to recruit them, it's almost like you know they're injecting this randomized history into this person, and is similar to the Nemesis system, except you're collecting them. It's like a combination of Pokemon and orcs, and you're putting them into. I
played and really enjoyed Watch Dogs 2. I didn't get that far in it. I played some online as well with a mate. And
it looks fun.
Some of the stuff's pretty cool. Like, I take it. If the thing is with that game, it's still the generic open world game from Ubisoft, right? It's that carbon copy thing, right?
Go to the tower, unlock the part of the map.
But what they wrapped over it was interesting. A little over the top sometimes, a little unnecessarily complicated. But like the DedSec and the art style that they created for this sort of stuff was amazing, and like the actual characters were pretty cool, and it was an interesting world. You know, more interesting than something like Far Cry, for example, guns and running around the jungle or whatever. So I think it's all right there. So I would be interested to see what the next one is, as long as they take it somewhere like it's not just Grand Theft Auto with hacking. You know what I mean? Like, that's what it feels like.
That's what it looked like.
That's pretty much what it is. It's Grand Theft Auto with hacking. But it's good. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. And that was pretty much Ubisoft. I'm struggling to remember if there was any... I guess one of the main things that really interested me which was something they didn't really show much of at all, of course, was... I can't remember the title now, but it's Gods and Monsters or something like that.
Oh, I heard this. Yeah, I heard the name. I haven't heard anything else about it, but I remember hearing the name.
All it looks like is Greek Zelda.
Assassin's Creed. Didn't they just do an ancient Greece Assassin's Creed?
Yeah, but this is a lot more like, you know, it looks like Kid Icarus or something, where it's
okay. All right, yeah.
You know, it's
that
like
cool.
Yeah, like a little bit more cartoony and fantasy art.
And they've worked quite a few times with Nintendo, so they've probably got some good information there.
Yeah, but something that's a little more like, you know, Assassin's Creed kind of flirted with, you know, it's like, oh, maybe there was monsters, but it was like historically like.
Oh, they're going full in on the ancient monsters.
This is like, you are actually like a some kind of metahuman thing. Like you've got wings, it looks like, or something. You've got powers of the gods or something, and you're running around, you know, hilltops, and there's harpies and stuff like coming at you. That
sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's like a real action. You know, it's a video game. You remember video games?
Nice. Yeah, I remember those. Yeah, I remember them. No, that's good. That's good, and it's nice to see him do something a bit.
Yeah, well, and it's some of the guys that. Well, I think it might be the team that worked on Odyssey. So they were like, you know what? We played around with all this stuff in Odyssey, and we're like, what if we just went full on with the fantasy aspect of it? And
that's cool. That'd be
so I'm looking forward to that. You know,
yeah, definitely.
And seeing what it's like. All they did was they showed like a pre-rendered, you know, very short sort of reveal trailer thing without any real gameplay. That'd be one for console
though, wouldn't it? Because they're Ubisoft are like the worst at optimizing games, aren't they? They just make it and release it like and PCs always just collapse when because you know, if they don't work on console, the console turns off. So they have to put a bit of effort.
Yeah, but and I guess one of the main marketing thrusts of this was it's coming to Switch. So it was, I think they're designing it for Switch, and then
all right,
you know, and they'll put it on everything else probably too. But
so that'll be $79.99 then if it's on Switch.
Probably, yeah. 200%
Twitch tax. The Switch tax. Yeah, bang it straight on. It straight on.
Yeah. So, but that was Ubisoft, and then I guess EA was there, but they didn't really have a stage show.
Yes.
Yeah, they have that. Their main thing is that Star Wars game. I
don't think anything EA has done, and EA hasn't done anything that's interested me since the Mega Drive. That's just being honest. There's literally nothing they've done since those days, you know, with their dodgy cartridges.
Yeah. Well, a lot of
or should I say Genesis? Sorry about that.
Genesis. Yeah.
Bit more,
what is Mega? What Mega? What? No, I'm sorry. Mega what? I don't know what you're talking about. Drive.
Yeah. No, I've got no interest in anything EA does at all. I haven't got a problem with them, to be honest. They do what they want, but
well, they're a studio acquisition thing, you know, like so it's like you look for what they're collecting, and then it's like, oh, I like the thing that, you know, Visceral. I think they had Visceral Entertainment, and they did like Dead Space. I thought Dead Space was cool, and like shit like that. But I can't even really remember the last time I really completely and totally enjoyed an EA offering. Their thing is Star Wars, and that looks kind of boring.
Okay. I wouldn't trust a Star Wars game from them as far as I could throw it anyway. Yeah.
No, this looks kind of... There were aspects of it that I was like, oh, I didn't know you could do that. That's kind of neat. But I don't know. It kind of fell flat for me. Bethesda was there. And they had I don't know why any of these people are fucking going to this and going on stage and spending all this fucking money to say nothing. It's just...
No, well, they did unveil that luckily their mobile Elder Scrolls game is coming to the Switch for us all to enjoy. That's something to look forward to, right, guys? Right? That's something to look forward to.
Here's the thing about Elder Scrolls Blades. So a little bit of history from me.
Go
on. I like dungeon crawlers a lot. Born and raised on a dungeon crawler. No,
I love a good dungeon crawler. Yeah.
Yeah, like and I loved Elder Scrolls Arena and Daggerfall. I think Daggerfall is still one of the most interesting games ever made in existence. And I was excited at the prospect of having something that's a little bit more focused on just straight dungeon crawling, and then you've got like a little city that you can manage and upgrade and like whatever the hell else.
Yeah.
But they got to put in this fucking the problem is you can't buy Blades. You can't just buy it, right? You have to to play it effectively, you have to spend money on it for the rest of your life.
Yeah, it's bullshit.
Yeah.
It's a crap game.
So fuck that thing.
Yeah. A shit game.
Yeah. And there are things in it that look good. Like some of the combat and looks juicy, and especially on something like the Switch where it's got the nice rumble on it and all that shit. And like I get excited about like schlocky stuff like that. Like I like gimmicks too. Like you know, I'm not anti-gimmick. I think there's some games, good ones, that live and die on their gimmicks, and I think it's a good thing when you can deliver something like that. That's fun and, you know, whatever. But Blades has got to be fucking come at you with this shroud of you know, owning your soul.
Don't you? From what I know of that game, don't you have to wait to open loot crates?
Yeah, unless you spend money on a gem, you know, energy gem or whatever.
That's a new fucking layer. That's
it's
a whole new layer.
You can wait 6 hours to you know, intentionally, like they gate you on your progress. And it's like you can wait 6 hours, or you can give us, you know, spend 6 dooley bops to unlock the flibberty gibbet, and you can continue playing.
They probably will charge for it on the Switch. Probably.
Well, I'm pretty sure that's what would happen. Like, unless Nintendo, like, you know, they do something where it's like, no, you have to rein that in a little bit. And
Nintendo Switch is, I love it and hate it all at once.
Well, I think right now that's really the only thing worth a damn currently is the Nintendo Switch. Personally, I'm not even that big a Nintendo fan per se.
Oh, it's waning. It's waning quicker than I would like. Let's put it that way. I've been an avid fan of their games and their work since I was a kid.
Yeah, Windy's guts are spilling out, and he's just trying to.
And it's only recently, maybe, since I got the Switch, and it's really quite weird because the Switch is an absolutely incredible console, right? And it's only since I've got that machine that
it's a really fun machine. It's
amazing.
Yeah,
it's a great machine, but it's just what they're doing. I can see the future of Nintendo is not what I want it to be, and that's not fair for me. But you know, some people love it, but I get a bit tired of you know, just their pricing strategy, the way they do things, just everything. It's annoying because I actually think, and I said this the other day, and I surprised myself when I said it, but I think the Wii U was a better console. If we're talking about software, I think the Wii U was a better console than the Switch, and that's saying something. Like, the Switch is great, but
yeah,
Jesus,
I don't know a lot about the Wii U. I missed a ton of Nintendo stuff. The last one I bought was a GameCube.
Yeah.
And I barely got into the catalog of games on the GameCube.
Well, the Wii U was glorious. Wii U was from software from Nintendo. It was one of their best consoles, in my opinion. The stuff they were putting out was amazing.
What do they have on the Wii U, for example, that you really dug?
Well, the Mario Kart that you've got on your Switch, that's Mario Kart from the Wii U.
Right.
The Smash Brothers you've got on your Switch is pretty much the Smash Brothers from your Wii U.
Yeah.
Hyrule Warriors is a Wii U game. Zelda Breath of the Wild was made for the Wii U.
Yeah.
Mario Maker, that was Wii U. Splatoon, that was Wii U.
Didn't I hear you say you didn't like Mario Maker?
Yeah, I thought it was crap, yeah.
Oh, that sucks. I never played it, but it looked like a lot of fun to me.
It's like, I played it, and it's a bit of fun. Like, I bought a limited edition one, because I thought, this would be fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
But I should have really known. It's level editor, isn't it? It's like just make a Mario level.
Yeah.
You go online to try and play some interesting levels, and you're just trying to sift through like garbage after garbage. Like, if there was like 500 levels from Nintendo on there, then it would be fantastic. But I could never find anything worth playing.
Things with actual game flow.
No. It's just like the word tits written in blocks, and you just jump around a bit, and that's it. Like, you think, oh, great, yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the value there is, whether or not the community does anything interesting with it. Right?
Yeah. But the Wii U was great. It had Xenoblade Chronicles X. That was a fantastic game. Really enjoyed that. Absolutely amazing. I don't even know what else I've got. Bayonetta. That was good, but that's also out on the Switch. Essentially, it was, they've just re-released the Wii U on the Switch. And if you had all that on the Wii U, then
unfortunately, the Wii U was kind of a commercial failure, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. And it's good to see them getting their money's worth for these games, because the games were some of the best Nintendo ever made.
Yeah.
But I kind of get a bit tired of every single time they release something. It's like, oh yeah, I get to buy that again.
It is the re-release machine, right?
It is the console for those who like to buy a game more than once.
Again, yeah.
And for ridiculous prices, $44.99 for Final Fantasy X. $44.99 for Final Fantasy 12 that's just come out. Yeah. $34.99 for what's it? From
Secret of Mana collection.
Secret of Mana, yeah, 34.
Which is a ROM dump, right?
Yeah.
Well, so, I don't want to be charitable. Seiken Densetsu 3 was never released in the West, so it never it never got a translation.
Yeah.
So at least there's that. But yeah, these are all fucking emulated things, and Nintendo's NES library.
Oh, that's shit. Yeah.
Oh, it's garbage, because what do they give you, like 3 weird, like, Clue Clue Land this month?
And to be honest, like, the NES is great and all, but games like,
I do like being able to just like lay down on the couch or whatever in bed and be like, or on the on the toilet and turn on Ghosts and Goblins or something, just kill some zombies for a second. Like, that's cool. But
the SNES version was far better. Like, this is the problem. The Famicom or whatever. But like, it's like anything before. I've always said anything before that era, the 16-bit era, was just warming up. So it's giving they that shit for free. I don't really care. I particularly want to play NES Tennis. Who wants to play that?
Well, it depends on who's interested in this stuff. For me personally, I like playing on original hardware. I'm a crusty old fucker who likes the refresh rate of a CRT monitor and I think maybe that's just a preference as well. I know a lot of people love this stuff. I would be far happier to give the money for re-releases of games that aren't so fucking new. That's the problem. It's like remastered games that are 2 years old, like being released on the Switch, and you think, like, if it was like a GameCube game, like Mario Sunshine's never had a re-release. That I would pay 20 quid for happily on the Switch.
you know, but instead we get like Assassin's Creed 5 or something, you know, like for like $38.99 or
somewhere in the middle of the series.
Yeah, just sort of like PlayStation 3 era games. Like,
and
don't need this.
Yeah. And any of the newer stuff that's kind of lagging behind its original release a little bit that makes it onto the Switch, it's a technologically inferior version, you know.
For more money.
Yeah, like Witcher 3, you know, or something.
It's like, well, let's make them pay $29.99 for the console version, $29.99 also for the handheld version. But it's and just charge it as one lump sum. Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, the Switch is kind of a bizarre, but it has some exclusives on it that I think are awesome. Of course,
well,
but
it will have.
Yeah.
It will have.
But that being said, too, the Nintendo's thing for E3 was the best by far, which is kind of saying something because it's like if the bar is so fucking low.
Yeah.
For this E3, but they hit some real bright spots for me personally. Cool. For you know the industry at large, I don't know, but for me personally, like that having the Secret of Mana collection on there was like, whoa, because I'm a huge fan of those games.
I wanted it. I saw the video of them saying, "Oh, it's out now on the store."
Yeah, and
I was like, "Okay, great. I'm going to go check that out." $34.99. No thanks. Not for a fucking SNES game. You're taking the mick now.
Yeah,
you know.
Well, yeah. And the features on that piece of software, it's like that's a cute try, guys. Like having they put in some things like oh, you can go into music mode and play the soundtrack for the
And it's like, and I get it, but one of them's a black and white Game Boy game as well. Like, so it's
Final Fantasy Adventure in the West.
Try putting that on the Switch for $9.99. No, it'd be more than $9.99, wouldn't it? It'd be $11.99, right?
Well, and this is not a new thing that Nintendo has done. I remember for Game Boy Advance, they re-released shit like Super Mario Brothers for whatever it was, like $20 or so.
Yeah, it's just like, and it's so annoying because I love their games so much. Like, I love the Nintendo so much, but I see these numbers and I think, do you know what? I'm not against companies making money at all.
Right.
But the Switch always seems like 30% tax on top of everything for no reason other than that it's on the Switch. You know, and it drives me mad. It drives me absolutely mad.
Yeah.
So it's always like a bitter taste. Every time you get excited, they just have to say, you know, you want it. We've just jacked up the price for you there.
Yeah, it's a
like knowing Nintendo, they will put Mario Sunshine out on the Switch, and everyone will be so excited, and it'll be $49.99. Like that's what they would do at this point.
Generally speaking, that's the place we kind of find ourselves in right now. Is the re-releases are the cream of the crop, which is like, but when they give, and I think video games are really the only thing that can get away with this because, and we've talked about this a little bit before, where like people injecting politics into video games, it's like that might be a little bit more forgivable to the consumer base because there's a huge chunky layer of gameplay in there that can't really be affected.
You can hide your bullshit in there. Yeah.
Yes, if there's a like this outer coating of like bullshit on it, and the core is still good, like it's, you know, people are generally forgivable about this stuff and they'll keep buying it. But so you can kind of apply that same philosophy or reasoning to re-releases. And here was one of the other things that I was intensely excited about that made this feel almost like a personalized Nintendo thing for me was the reimagining of Secret of Mana 3. So you kind of got like a double barrel blast of Secret of Mana from this thing.
Yep.
And let me say again, or let me go into a little bit of personal history with Secret of Mana. Like, I was a huge fan of all these fucking games growing up. Seiken Densetsu 3, or whatever it is, their Trials of Mana is what they're rebranding. The third one is now. That was the first import game that I bought because I desperately wanted it growing up. So it's got the nostalgia hooks in me, and I still think it's a gorgeous game, and it's one of the most interesting games I think that Square ever put out.
I would love to play it. I really would.
So them putting out a brand new 3D reimagining of it, and it's not just some like weird hack job where it's like, oh, it's all the assets are 3D now, but the camera's, you know, still in a fixed. This is a full on like 3D action adventure third person RPG game.
Okay, so it's not like that garbage one that they pumped out on Steam a few years back, Secret of Mana.
Yeah, Secret of Mana 1. And I don't think that one even looks all that bad. I know people are down on that one, but I'm like, it's fine. But
minimum effort, though, isn't it?
I haven't played it, so I don't know. But that's kind of the consensus on that one, is that it's kind of garbage.
But if they're going to redo it, I think it's actually quite cool that some of these companies are doing it. Like, they're completely remaking the game from the ground up and just turning it into a modern game, but based on the old one. That's cool.
That's my point, is since it's a video game, like, and you're just, the story is kind of like whatever.
Yeah.
Depending on what game it is. But if you can really make it interesting, then I say go for it. Like,
yeah, definitely. Well, I've been having some interesting discussion with my brother and some other people actually about the Final Fantasy VII remake. See, that's an interesting subject in and of itself in regards to this.
Yeah, because
there's all manner of information coming out about this game, right? And I think no one's going to know anything concrete until the moment of its release, right?
Well, we do know it's episodic.
Yeah, well, don't. Yeah. When I first heard about it, I did the whole, why would you do that? It's such a great game, right? And then I got over it and thought, well, it don't make a fucking difference. The original Final Fantasy VII's untouched, isn't it? It's still there forever. If anyone wants to play it, it exists, right? Some of the things they're doing with it, like, I think some of the summons are DLC, right? Like microtransactions to buy materia, essentially, right? So that's one fucking problem. Worry about that.
That's fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
That is fucking stupid ass fucking bullshit. You got the little summons on the pre-order bonus on there.
Yeah, things like that.
Oh, fuck
Stuff
you.
like
Of course you're gonna do that. Jesus Christ. This has been microtransactions and DLC the fucking E3, and it's sorry, go ahead.
But what I do think's interesting, right? I think like most people on Earth, everyone, whether you like it or hate it, is going to want to play it. Is going to want to know about it. Like, it's an interesting and very important game that's going to be weird to see what happens with it, right? Because everyone knows Final Fantasy VII, whether you think it's the best game or not. It's going to be an interesting remake. It's either going to be interestingly shit or interestingly great. Either way, it's going to be worth playing, right?
Culturally speaking, and like within the industry, I think Final Fantasy VII kind of paved the way for Halo, and then
so many things.
I feel like those two games are why we are where we are now.
Yeah.
With it,
Massive.
and then later on, it's like Uncharted or something. But Halo and Final Fantasy VII were the kind of the birth of the blockbuster game, like the step into the mainstream, and it's like now it's cool to be a geek and fuck you.
Yeah, but like with this Final Fantasy VII, so the whole first episode is just Midgar, right? The whole first episode is just Midgar, right? So when you hear that, you think, well, that's a bit small. However, they're saying that it's the whole of Midgar, right? It's the whole game. It's a whole game inside that area, which sounds interesting, right?
I don't believe it.
I don't believe a word of it. I
don't believe that the whole thing is like you can go into every. You know how the camera zooms out?
Yeah. You won't be able to go to every sector.
I don't believe that you can go into every fucking nook and cranny into that thing.
And even if you
I think it will be expansive, but I don't believe for a second that it's like the Daggerfall of Final Fantasy.
Why? What's that got? Like, that's awesome, right? Like, on the one hand, you're like, that'd be cool to explore the city of Midgar that you couldn't really explore, and on the second hand, you're like, well, the fuck's that got to do with Final Fantasy VII? It's not a remake. You've basically just applied the brand of Final Fantasy VII to a completely different game, with a few bits chucked in to sort of wet the whistle. With like just a little bit of the normal story, and then we'll just stick in another 20 sectors where you can do little missions that have got nothing to do with the actual story. Mm-hmm. So I don't know how I feel about that. And I know a lot of people are saying, it's two DVD Blu-rays. You know what I mean? It's 2 Blu-ray DVDs for this. And you think, well, yeah, probably like 80% of that's the 4K textures and the cinematics.
Right. And voiceovers and whatever else.
And the sound and everything else. Yeah. So, I don't know. I'm holding judgment because, like, I hear it's 30 hours or plus of gameplay just in Midgar. So that, I don't know how it's going to happen. I'm intrigued. Colour me intrigued. But I think it's shit that they're trying to make out that they're making the entire game over however many episodes. It's not possible. It's not going to be possible. They're either not going to do it. They'll never finish it. And if they do it, it's just going to be like this chunk of the game, the original, and then the next one, it will just be a cinematic that just catches you up to the story. There's no way you're going to play the whole of Final Fantasy VII, is there? In this new style, if it's taken them 5 years to make Midgar. No? Crazy. Like it would be like 2080 by the time it's finished. You've been PlayStation 8. I don't know what's going to happen there, but it's worth watching.
What's that?
It's going to be one to watch. I think it's one of the most interesting things that's happening.
This reeks to me of inevitable swan song. For they just about tanked themselves with Final Fantasy 15.
Yeah, I think it's.
Are you familiar with the development story of the Odyssey, the saga, the nightmare?
Square's been dead to me since Final Fantasy 10 anyway, pretty much.
Oh yeah, they're not the this. So what happened with 15 was it started out as an offshoot game to Final Fantasy, and it was announced in like shit 2006, 7, 8, something like that. It was supposed to come out on PS3. And it just went through like management changes and design changes, and it changed names. The project changed scope, and it was and eventually it was like them slapping Final Fantasy 15 on it was almost like a desperate like, we better make this a main entry because that's the only way we're going to make our money back.
Yeah.
This nightmare of a endless development cycle. And then it came out and it wasn't even done.
Yeah.
And then they started releasing versions of it, like sort of piecemealing it out, and breaking promises on like what would be included eventually on their roadmap, and that stuff got mixed around and changed around, and then now like a lot of that stuff has been canceled for 15.
Well, of course it has. Yeah, so
we're going into 7.
Yeah.
From that state.
you might be lucky to get a second episode. That's what I think. I don't think there'll ever be a second episode. I don't think there will be.
In a perfect world, I would love to see them just do this insane 300-hour ode to
the whole thing.
Okay, here's a little bit of personal stuff again. I'm not really that big a fan of 7.
Fair enough. Whatever, it's only a game, innit?
Yeah. I was very excited about it.
Yeah.
As a kid, I came off the back of 6. 6 was my that was like, oh, this is cream of the crop. Like, and then I play 7. I'm like, I don't really understand these characters too much. I didn't quite understand what the conflict was, and I think it got a little too wacky.
Yeah, but 7 especially for now, it's the perfect story, isn't it? It's the eco warriors, all that bullshit. You know what I mean? Save the environment.
You start out as an environmental terrorist.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, just blowing up people and killing hundreds of thousands of people in the city.
Yeah, you're a militant PETA or whatever.
Completely fine.
So I was just I didn't quite get the Cloud with his what is it? The memory thing. Do
you know what? I've played through it about 10 times and I still don't really get it.
See,
it's convoluted, isn't it? Like it's just
like,
a bit.
Yeah, like Sephiroth. What is he? He's like a mutant thing that has a part of the planet in him or something, and the planet has a spirit.
Thinner. That's one thing though. He gets thinner with every time they design him.
Yeah,
Sephiroth. Thinner and more emo with every iteration.
So that thing to me, like, I didn't quite connect with 7 the way I did with 6.
Yeah.
And 1 for that matter too. Like 1 was so paper thin that you could kind of just fill in the blanks yourself, and by design probably. But so 7, like, it wasn't like 7 I probably played the least out of all of my favorite Final Fantasies, so
really?
I don't really have a huge, a horse in. I only beat 7 one time.
It's a great game. It's a great
game. I'm not saying it's bad.
Yeah, no.
By any,
I think they made the wise decision to pick that one to read. I think it's worth watching. See what happens with it.
Yeah. Well, 7 was definitely the last one to me that was like, had any sort of imaginative anything.
Yeah.
I mean, 12 looked cool, and I liked 9, and but
12's the one with a really shit fight system, though, isn't it? Like with the weird arrows coming out your head. Is that the one?
Yeah. It's
it kept breaking down, and it just doesn't work. That was the problem I had with it.
It looks weird. Yeah, when you
I actually really enjoyed it. The art style, everything about it, the world it's in, some of the mechanics in it are interesting and unique just to that one.
Well, it's a fantasy game.
But yeah.
Remember when Final Fantasy was fantasy?
Yeah. Now it's driving a BMW around fucking...
Yeah. Well, to be fair, too, 15 I liked. Like, once I got past the way things looked, it was like, oh, these characters are actually kind of neat, and there's, some nuance to them, and it's a lot more understandable than fucking 7.
But speaking about development hell for 15, right? And again, before I say this, I'm gonna preface it with the fact that this only applies to AAA, right? I'm not talking about indie games at this point. I'm talking about massive corporations making video games.
Yes.
If a game taking 5 or 6 years to make at that scale is not a good thing in any way, shape, or form. If you've got hundreds, if not thousands of people working on a video game for 5-6 years, something is incredibly wrong.
There's a lot of shit for extended periods of time not getting done.
And stuff, there's reasons that things have been... It shouldn't take that long. These companies can't afford to spend that long with that many people working on a product unless it goes through a lot of changes.
Yeah.
So something's broken. Something's gone horribly wrong.
Yeah, imagine paying somebody $20 an hour over the course of 6 years and then multiply that by at least 300.
Yeah, minimum.
And it's like,
with some of these games.
Something weird is happening.
Yeah, so it's bad. So when when people are saying like this Final Fantasy VII remake's been in the work for God knows how many years, 7 years or whatever they say, and it's going to be amazing. You think, I don't know, they're using a technology they already own, and they're rewriting a story they've already written, and it's taken 7 years.
Yeah,
no, something is
all you got to do is update
wrong.
the character mod. I mean, I understand what I'm saying here is like stupid.
Oh yeah.
Sure. It's like all you got to do is you just flip the magic dev switch but in a manner for a company scale like it's kind of true where it's like you just get some modelers in there and like redo Barrett, redo Cloud, animate them of course and like all this other shit and like use out of the box shaders and use your Final Fantasy 15 engine and just make some assets and you don't even have to rewrite anything like you said with the story and it's like it really shouldn't be a this monumental undertaking but
like it's not a badge of honor and this is going on with Cyberpunk as well going on to Cyberpunk like I don't really care about Cyberpunk I really don't I think it's an interesting world and it could be a good game but I think it's going to be a disaster and I've said this for a while like people are screaming it's been in development it's like 7 years and you think that's especially not good, and not when you then slap in a celebrity at the last minute to try and say, "Hey guys, look over here," instead of looking over here. Something's wrong. It's not a good thing when a game's, especially at that scale. Like when you're talking, like back in the day, right? So say you go back to something like the Ocarina of Time, and before that, sort of when games took 3, 4, 5 years, but they only had teams of. They had smaller teams, they had smaller budgets. Right?
30, 60 people.
Yeah, you weren't talking about thousands of people spread across 10 studios across the world all working on different components for one game, Things, just too much money.
Yeah, and then that studio gets pulled off this project and put on some other thing.
Yeah. And it's just, I don't think it's a good thing. It's terrifying when it happens.
Well, all of this is kind of new too, right? Like this is not, video games are kind of new. Yeah, we've only just sort of discovered the studio system version, like of what films went through in the the aughts.
Yeah,
we're sort of doing with video games.
I just can't see it.
Yeah, but you're talking about going back to 7 for a second. That is a behemoth waiting to go down, I think, because who knows what's going to be available on that first thing? They're going to outsell. How are they going to fucking sell this thing across multiple chapters or whatever? Is it going to come on other? It's going to have to come on other discs, I guess, or it's all going to be fed consoles, digitally. But not as many people are going to buy those other chunks.
No, the first one will do well.
So you're going to wind up with this top-heavy thing that's going to have minimal effort, like, it's going to be a tale, right? It's going to just...
Yeah, of course. Of course.
Like, and eventually they're going to release the ending, and then that's it. It's like... and it's not going to be as... It's not going to be another Midgar-sized thing.
It'll be downloadable only, digital content or something on the PlayStation 6.
Right, and who knows how much of that is going to get canceled, and just...
Yeah.
This sounds like such a... This might be the end.
Well, I just think like I don't think they're looking further than the first. Like, I know they're saying, oh, the second section's already in development and all this. I don't see it. I think the first one is going to smash it out of the park, and then there's no way they're going to be able to maintain that level of sales. I think the first part will do incredibly well. But people a year later, 2 years later, whenever the next piece comes out, people are going to be like, oh, that? No, I've moved on from that. You know what I mean? Imagine... like years down the line where it's like, oh, like here's the second part of that game that you were watching, but that story you were trying to follow, here's the next bit 3 years later. You're kind of over that now. I'll have to play it again, and I can't be bothered.
Yeah,
can't see it.
Yeah. It's going to be Final Fantasy VII Part 1, Final Fantasy VII 2, 7 3. That's kind of how they're gonna have to change things story-wise to make you care about it again, probably. I don't know. Who knows? To be fair, it could happen. Like,
it could be amazing. I hope it is.
All of this could work, and it could be a successful experiment. Part of me kind of hopes not, because that sort of people are going to want to follow this model, this disastrous model. But I think this to save themselves, so that they don't wind up like another Sega or something, but this is kind of indicative of where the industry is right now. I think we're in this sort of cycle of re-releasing old shit all the time, like
just over and over.
Yeah. And that stuff's becoming more and more prevalent. Like, that's what almost all E3 was like. Hey, here's a thing that we released 30 years ago. You can buy it again if you want
for $34.99.
Yeah. And I think this is like it's gonna fucking go down hard, man. Like, if it's not going down hard already, like, which is fine, because somebody else will pick up the pace and or pick up the the pieces.
It's like I think this is what upsets me about, because I talk about I think this is coming across like I hate video games, right? A lot of my
I hate them. I don't know about you. Fucking suck.
Well, in some ways they do, yeah, because a lot of it just comes from like a feeling of just disappointment. Like, there's games that are great, and I love to play games. Even games that I thought were going to be great and weren't that great, I still enjoy them. I enjoy playing the games. But there's something missing, right? So, like, this is what really gets to me as Nintendo have been pissing me off the most. Like, they used to be a company that used to turn the industry on its head once every 3 years. Right? They used to just blow the industry apart with something new, something crazy, something interesting, right?
They don't have to anymore. They just have to make games, and that's it. Because no one else is.
They've just stopped. They've just stopped entirely. Like, they've got some great games coming out I'm looking forward to. Luigi's Mansion, I've been looking forward to since I heard it was coming, right? Because it's something that's just not bloody Mario or Zelda, right? Because, like, Mario Odyssey, yeah, it was a fantastic game, but it was... and as Mario... Zelda was fantastic, absolutely amazing game. I loved it, but it was just, again, Zelda running around with his horse and his bow. Like, if what I would love, and I mean this, is if Nintendo took its Zelda budget and its Zelda team and its Zelda talent and said, make something different. All of you. We're not going to do another Zelda. We're going to do, not for a while, we're going to do something completely different. Go nuts. Come up with something new. I imagine it would blow the industry on its arse, right? It would. It would be like, hey, look at this crazy ass shit that Nintendo are putting out. This is a whole new thing. It'd be amazing. But that's never going to happen ever again. And that makes me really sad.
It's going to have to come from somebody that's not Nintendo.
It probably, but it's in my opinion, they're the best in the world at what they do. They are, or they were, And it would be nice to see them actually turn around and say, hey, we can still make games. Because they can, and they do, but it's shit we've seen.
Yeah.
Same shit over and over again. They might be great. Breath of the Wild was fantastic. I loved it. Yeah. Loved every minute of it. But
and I like the speaking to that, I do like the tone of what they showed of Breath of the Wild 2.
I get a vibe that they're doing the whole Ocarina of Time Majora's Mask thing. Like, they're going to go a bit dark, a bit twisted, a bit strange.
And it was in a fucking dungeon.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Like this had a dungeon, like an
Whoever's
interior
idea that was,
an
to take the
interior
dungeons
cave
out.
thing with torches and like oh, remember those?
Yes.
Breath of the Wild didn't have that.
Remember the story and dungeons of Zelda? That's what.
Yeah.
Trade that in for, towers and shit. But yeah, I just think, like, every time I see this, I think, like, oh, Nintendo's unveiling some new stuff. What have we got? Luigi's Mansion 3, Zelda 14, Mario 36, Pokemon 37. Like, what's that? Animal Crossing? Oh, everyone's excited for another Animal Crossing. What's that? Mario Tennis? Yeah. Like, do something. Fucking do something. Jesus. Oh. But then I think that's me getting old, mate. I think that's me getting old.
Well,
seen it all before, innit?
Well, here, if things like this don't happen that you're describing, then eventually something like Nintendo inevitably just sort of works themselves out of relevance.
Yeah.
Like but I think that's part of the natural, to get all fucking hippie, I guess, for a second. That's part of the natural cycle of things. I think you're gonna see another thing come out of it. Windy Beard Games might be the thing that saves us all.
But well, I doubt that. But it's a shame because they're such an ancient company. You know what I mean? And they were there from the start. They literally they've done so much for games in general. Nintendo,
Well, here's the thing. It's the people. Like it's you need another Shigeru come from somewhere. Like,
Shigeru.
Shigeru's going to die.
Shigeru.
Somebody else.
No, he's not. No, he's not. Don't listen to him, Shigeru.
Like Nintendo isn't him. You know what I mean? Like Capcom, Konami. Oh, we'll get to Konami in a second.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah. No, you're right. You're very, very right.
But ultimately, with Nintendo, they were the only people that had fucking games, even if a bunch of them were sequels and remakes. Like,
I see what you're getting at, but it's that whole Nintendo can get away with doing things that no one else would because no one else would have the backing to do the shit. Like how Ricky Gervais, the comedian, can go out on live TV and say things that would get most normal people burnt alive.
Yeah.
Like he's at like you get to a point. Like Nintendo have such like reverence. They're so they can literally go right. We're going to make a game about a potato. And well, they got a game. Their main character's a plumber. It's like who runs around collecting mushrooms. Like for God's sake, it's ridiculous.
And that's kind of part of my point. Is like there needs to be another plumber come from somewhere.
Yeah,
right.
I think most people would just brush it off as that's rubbish. Yeah, it's ridiculous. That's the issue.
But we haven't gotten to that point yet.
Not just yet.
Things need to crash and burn hard for the industry to kind of reinvent itself and for something new to come out and be like, oh, hey, this might not even be a video game, as the way we kind of, and that's what Nintendo did, right? With like Atari and all those fuckers. Like there was so much shit out in the West, no quality control, no nothing. People re-releasing shit and like stealing other things and just pumping them out and remaking the same game a whole bunch of times. And too many consoles on the market, too many titles that were shit, that didn't work, that didn't function. And Nintendo came out with like this solid thing that they marketed as a toy and sort of created almost a new industry in the West. Doesn't that kind of sound like what's going on right now a little bit?
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
But anyway, here's where we kind of find ourselves anyway. And there are things that I think to be genuinely excited for for me anyway.
Yeah.
Like the Secret of Mana 3 thing was awesome. Having another Panzer Dragoon come out of fucking nowhere. That was like, oh my God. Like I kind of like, out loud, I exclaimed when I saw that. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. The Astral Chain looked really cool.
Yes. Yep. That looks good.
Demon Ex Machina looks awesome.
That looks really good. Yeah.
This is my point is they actually brought some fucking games.
They brought some stank. They did.
Like video, like people with swords, people in robots.
Yeah, cool shit. Yeah, no, I agree. There is some good stuff coming. As
opposed to, hey, you guys, we put NPCs in Fallout 76. Isn't that cool? It's like,
oh, dear.
And we paid $6 billion to come on stage and tell you that.
Yeah.
Like, my God, what a state we're in for this to be the thing.
No, I don't know. I think I like my Switch. I just think it hasn't. If you were a Wii U owner, it hasn't taken off just yet.
I can see that. Yeah, I can see.
Like, and I think that's hard to explain to someone
because it's not new stuff, right? Like it's not
none of it's new.
Yeah.
None of it. Hardly anything, you know.
It's a cynical age, I guess, when I'm excited for a 3D remake of a Japanese-only game.
Yeah,
30 years or whatever later, 18 years, 20 years later, and I'm like, here we go.
Yeah, well, that's cool though. It's cool, and I am looking forward to the new Zelda, the new Breath of the Wild. I think it will be fun. I think it'll be an amazing game, and it'll be well worth playing. It'll be great fun, and I'll love it. But
I like what they did with the Breath of the Wild, where it was like a little bit of a return to the first game, where it's like, here's a sword, just go.
Off you go. Yeah, there was some great stuff in it.
Yeah, and I haven't beaten that game yet either. I'm waiting till I'm done with Savage to give Breath of the Wild 1 a proper playthrough.
But I would be more excited if Nintendo said they were working on something completely new, But like Zelda's size, that sort of scale of product. That's what it would be way more exciting, Yeah, and I think that's where I'm always, and I think maybe I'm making the mistake of being disappointed when I shouldn't be, but I stand by it, whether I'm a cynical asshole or not. I still think it's a fair point to make, like Zelda's fantastic, but god damn it, how many more do we need?
It's still Zelda, yeah.
It's still Zelda, for God's sake. Like, I love Zelda, I always have. I've got the Zelda book and all the other games and loads of shit. I love their stuff, but just do something else once. Nintendo, come on. Anyone.
Yeah.
Anyone, please. Anyone?
Yes, yeah. Well, I feel the same way, dude.
But I get it.
And I'm going to digress kind of hard here. I think that's a problem with creativity in general right now with movies and fucking everything.
But I'm not sure it's the creativity because you're talking to a man who's making a sequel,
Sure.
I get it. Like, why would they make something completely new and strange and weird? Because most people would just say, "Oh, I wanted Zelda," and then just.
See, I'm waiting for the next Star Wars, so to speak. I'm not waiting for Star Wars 9. I'm waiting for the thing that comes out of nowhere and goes, "Look at this thing. This is something that you've never quite seen before in this context."
Are you not worried that you'll be forever waiting for that? Like that,
of course I am. Yes.
That's the conversation we're having pretty much. I don't think you'll ever see that again.
Maybe not.
But maybe that's because to us we're too old. That was the Fortnite.
Well, it's hard to see the forest for the trees, right? I think that's the issue. Is it's like if you look at synchronicity, like throughout history, we've kind of gone like this. So, you and me might not. Like we might die and. Well, we're gonna die, but and
like Shigeru,
yeah, heartbreak.
I don't even want that day to come.
Yeah, ashes to ashes, Shigeru to Shigeru.
Oh, the day the world will weep. The gaming world will weep.
But I 100% agree with what you're saying. I think maybe I'm thinking about stuff like where after I'm long dead and gone. Where I can't enjoy the thing that that the new thing that comes out or whatever, but
it'll be robots. Yeah.
What's that?
It will be robots. That's what it will be. All the robots. Yeah, the Pokemon's robots running around. That's what it'll be.
Shigeru 101010.
Yeah. Who knows, man? I think there's lots of good shit coming. There's lots of good stuff coming. It's
knowing how to look for it and find it. It's E3 is not what E3 used to be.
Oh God,
and E3 is a reflection of the industry. And I've gone to a lot of them as a kid. Like I got to go to several E3s.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Because my stepdad owned an exhibit business where his company would build exhibits for
very nice
Sony or whoever. So I'd get to go for free to these trade shows and stuff, and E3 was one of them. And yeah, like there wasn't, and I went to the one where they unveiled the Nintendo 64. So it's like,
oh wow,
that's a bar I don't think I'm ever gonna quite
No, that was back heyday. That was
especially for being a young, like a 13-year-old or whatever, however old I was. It was like, whoa!
But that's when it was a race, though. Like there was a big difference. I think, like everyone, I know this is the problem. You always get said, "Oh no, it's because you're old and blah blah blah." But like back then, it was you make the best games you can to sell the most copies, and it was who can make the best console, which doesn't seem to be the case anymore. Doesn't seem to be the business anymore. You know, it's changed a lot.
Yeah,
a lot.
Who's got the most addictive service?
Who's got the most cyclical monetization strategy? You know what I mean? Like, this is the thing. Who's got the best engagement metrics? Like, it's become a totally different beast. You know?
Yeah, I mean, and there are points of light in the darkness, I think.
Oh, of course.
I think we're just like at a tail end of a cycle or something.
Okay.
I do see things like nerdy shit, like genuinely nerdy shit, kind of creeping back up, like the things that made video games the way they were once upon a time. Like the CRPG, you know, is kind of a little bit on the rise.
Okay.
And obviously, it will never make waves in the mainstream, and I don't want it to. Because that's when you wind up with shit like what we have now, you know.
You got to gatekeep. You got to gatekeep, pal. That's the only way.
You shall not pass.
Keep out all those filthy mobile gamers. We don't want them.
Yeah, well, it's a scope thing, like with your business, I think, where it's like, what am I trying to make, and who am I trying to make it for, and how do I reach it? You know, like I am not trying to target people with Savage, for example, who like Candy Crush. You know. I'm not going after the Chinese market. I'm trying to find people who, like, you know, I'm trying to find the nerdy kid with asthma who thinks dragons are cool.
Yeah. I getcha.
Or something. Or guys like me, you know. But yeah. Sorry, I think I like I said, I digressed hard, but we were Nintendo was exciting for me. There were aspects of it that were like, oh, hey, video games. And it was like the bar was so low that it was like, you know, mechs with guns was the thing that was like, oh, okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
You know, that was the highlight. Bethesda had its thing. We were starting to get into Cyberpunk.
Oh, yeah. Keanu Reeves.
Yeah. and it's 7-year development fucking... Now, people are, like, so excited for this fucking thing, but I think... There's some weird shit going on with the development of this.
I'll be interested to see what happens with it. I would.
Yeah, what they've shown is really cool, but
they haven't shown anything. What have they shown outside of CGI?
Well, that's what like their scripted events.
Yeah, they've not shown. How can you have a game been in development for 7 years, this close to release? That's important.
I'm going to come out right now and say I'm not really that excited about Cyberpunk, and that's probably heresy. But
not to me, it isn't, pal. Yeah. I kind of agree. I like to keep my eye on these things. I don't really go in for these huge sort of on-trend AAA games. I'll keep an eye on it and maybe pick it up in a year or two if it's any good. But I can't believe, like, I think it's fascinating how people are already buying it, like pre-ordering it on Steam and stuff. It's like the #1 bestseller on Steam or something, and it's not even out until like middle of next year.
Yeah, there's a year yet.
I haven't even seen any fucking gameplay, people. Jesus Christ.
Well, that's the main thing with Cyberpunk. I have no idea what the game loop is.
Yeah.
I have no idea what the game loop is in Cyberpunk.
No. None.
I don't know what you're doing. I get that you're shooting guys.
And I think it could be the best game ever made, right?
Yeah,
there's no doubt about it. But if you're buying that game now, you are mental. Like on some hype train, you need to wake up. Like, it's a crazy, crazy thing to do.
Yeah.
Crazy thing to do.
I look at Cyberpunk and it's, you know, your ability to purchase it right now at a premium rate, right? And you're going to be able to buy it for $60 plus for the next year before you can even play the thing. And then I'm all fucking bent out of shape about whether I should or shouldn't do early access for Savage.
Yeah, but at least with Savage, you're getting the game.
Yeah, like well, that's the thing. It's like I'm so stressed about this decision for me personally. It's like I don't want to fucking charge people for a, you know. And then I look at Cyberpunk and I'm like,
yeah,
come on.
People haven't even seen the gameplay, right?
Yeah,
they've not even seen how the game plays. Yeah.
Well, I don't think that, you know, game journalists, right, have even had a chance to put their fingers on it. Like they haven't been able to move a person around inside of a room.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be. I think it's worrying that no one's seen that. I think it's terrifying that the game's that close to release, has been in development that long, it's being pre-ordered, and they've still not shown it. Like, they've not shown an hour of gameplay or something.
And you've got ex CD Projekt Red people who've worked on the game come out and say like this is a worse development cycle than like Anthem or something.
And I hate to hear that. Like you don't want to hear these companies doing these things, but it's the signs are there, man. And I hope it's not the case because they've probably sunk pretty much their entire company into that. I would imagine.
Into the reputation of this thing. Their reputation now hinges on how complete or this game is going to be when it's
exactly how big the roadmap is. That's
oh my god,
that's gonna tell us a lot, I think.
Well, that's the thing too, is like CD Projekt Red have like staked their reputation on being a studio that is pro-consumer and does not have roadmaps,
but it has a year-long pre-order.
Right. It's so weird to me. Like this is supposed to be the golden child. You know, the cult of CD Projekt Red is that they don't do things.
They're just
like
another
this.
massive AAA company.
Now they are. I think they got way too big, way too fast.
They've probably got a lot of investors who need to see a massive return. Hence, it's going to be just your standard AAA game because it's like in monetization. I'm talking about.
Yeah, I don't know how their company is structured, but
but it's going to be about infinite profit, isn't it? That's going to be what it's about because have to be a lot of people who invested in that game.
Well, and some of the like you said, the signs are there, but also like mechanically speaking, it's multiplayer, right? Like you can supposedly drop in, drop out, and there's an online component to it, you know, like you know, exactly, which no one has seen a demo of, I don't think.
No, I don't think anyone's seen anything apart from cutscenes and Keanu Reeves.
Yeah. Well, there was that, what was it, a 45-minute thing last year?
But that was all scripted anyway, wasn't it?
Yeah. But it was still like, you could see somebody going into their inventory and like swapping out weapons and shooting things, and like you could see damage numbers and like, and of course, like I certainly took that as somewhat smoke and mirrors. Like if you were to,
of course, like look at the original.
If anybody was to get control of that character and like look outside the room, you know, they'd see like, you know, like studio lights and like don't come back here.
Like that's like a common thing in AAA, isn't it? You know, like remember when Watch Dogs first came out and it was like raining, like Spider-Man with the puddles fiasco, you know? Like they're like the end game is still great, but what they show beforehand is never the finished product. Like it's always massively reduced. Always. It's just and I don't know how people can't see that coming a mile off.
Witcher 3 had this. The golden child of the industry, CD Projekt Red. Witcher 3 had this stuff where it was like very objectively, like you could look at like the assets in the game and they looked not as good as Witcher 2. Like, you know, rocks and grass and shit like that. Whereas like they obviously had to, you know, make some compromises with what they were rendering on screen, and it was like, and they still came out and they're like, we didn't do it, you know. I was like, but look at you can see it's right there. Spider-Man, I think, was a different beast.
Oh yeah.
Like that. You can look at a pretty reasonable technical breakdown of it, and see that they actually like improved it.
Oh, okay.
In spite of like moving some water around on the ground. But
I see it. You see it all the time, don't you? You see it all the time. These scripted gameplay sessions, and then the finished product's never as good.
Yeah, I think
it's never better, is it?
When I think Cyberpunk is like what is it going to run on? What's it, you know? I still have no idea what that game is.
It's too close to release for not to know. About a game that's so big, so hyped.
Yeah.
No Man's Sky level, but never.
Oh dear.
Could be. But that's lots of great games coming out, and of course, what was that other one? The Pokemon. Did you see the Pokemon thing that's coming out on the Switch?
Oh, Sword and Shield, right? Is that the? I have I've never played a Pokemon game.
Really?
Right.
I've only ever played I played the first two. So I played the red, blue, and then I played the silver and gold, and that.
So I have almost no interest in it, so I don't know anything about it. Yeah.
It could be good. It could be shit. I don't know. We'll have to see. It's going to be a big title. That'll sell a lot of copies. That will.
Yeah,
and it's and they can sell 2 of each as well. I guarantee you as well. Just throwing another gamble out there. I reckon 80% of all copies sold will be Sword, isn't it? Who's going to want to buy fucking Shield? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Who's going to want to buy Pokemon Shield? You know? Oh, you want the Sword? God damn it!
Yeah. Whoops.
Yeah. Well, lots of games, ladies and gentlemen. Lots of games. We didn't play a game this week, did we? And talk about one.
No, we didn't.
No, nothing. I've been playing Hyrule Warriors. That's it.
Yeah,
great game.
I played a little Baldur's Gate actually.
Oh, the old one.
Yes, the crusty old fucking I don't know. I've kind of had like last time on FLAMECAST.
No, give me back my son.
I'm pregnant. I was talking about Rogue.
Yeah.
What did you say?
Yeah. We should definitely do one of those last week. Some ridiculous over the top last week thing.
Yeah, it could be DLC.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Monetize FLAMECAST. 7 years in development. This next episode's going to be. We'll release it episodically too.
Yeah, exactly. Once every week. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was talking about Rogue, and I think that just kind of led me to playing some old ass fucking crusty RPGs again. And I was like, oh, I remember when video games were when men were men and steel was steel and but I was just it was kind of, and Baldur's Gate 3 was announced. That's wacky. I never thought we'd hear that.
I'll see what happens with that.
Yeah, Baldur's Gate 3.
I was never a huge fan of the originals. They were a bit too in-depth for me. Never really went down that rabbit hole.
Casual.
I'm a filthy casual. Yeah, I am.
Well, yeah, I've never finished Baldur's Gate. It was always a game that, I played it as a teenager a little bit, and I keep coming back to it every once in a while, and it's probably I probably never break that cycle. I don't know, but
nice.
There is something comforting to me about those games. But I think that's all I have. I don't know. It's just E3 fucking clusterfuck.
Yeah, it was. It wasn't a great year, was it? It wasn't a great one.
No, yeah, this is probably the worst in memory that I have for an E3. Yeah. I'm sure there's some bright spots in there, but I remember I was watching it. My wife and I were watching a lot of it too, and I was just bored to tears for most of it.
Did you see all the people doing that Xbox?
I didn't see that. No. What happened with that?
I saw it on a tweet. Someone tweeted out, "Look at these bellends" or something. Look at these pathetic idiots. And there was all these people going, Microsoft, rah, doing an X, with a green light and stuff.
Look at these Mega Drives.
Oh my days. Yeah. All right. Well, that's it. We should wrap this up then, shall we? I've had enough.
Yeah, I guess so.
I've had enough of video games now, guys. I need to go and have a lay down. So. Yeah.
Video games are terrible. We hate everything.
Yeah. And that's FLAMECAST. So thank you all so very much for tuning in. I do hope you've enjoyed it. That was mine and Tobor's take on E3 and many other things. Say goodbye, Tobor. Give him a wave at home there. Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye. And we'll see you next week. Much love and see you later.
Bye. Mega Drive for life.
Yay!